Let it breathe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Tuesday, June 28th. Month went by real quick, fellas.
Yeah, it did.
Back in the cave, hanging out with my guys. Pinky, how you doing today?
You know I'm all smiles, my man.
That's what I like to hear. AP, SP, AB.
all the above.
Dallas fan in the room.
I don't even know what that means, but anyways, doing okay. I didn't even tell you guys what happened today, so my roaster is down yet again.
Not the roaster.
The
Yes.
75,000 monstrosity.
That's right.
It didn't catch fire though.
No, but it did smoke. So
Damn it.
yeah, dude, I am gonna put that company on blast. Like seriously, they've pissed me off for the last time.
What's this one lasted? 4 months? 3 months?
I don't know. November. No, 7 months.
Oh, 7 months for this one.
I feel like it should last a lot longer.
I feel like that too.
For that kind of money, it should probably.
Maybe you
last a
should
lot
look at
longer.
going into development of your own roaster and
Yeah.
partnering with a company to just make something that's a little more back in the day type technology. You know what I mean? Maybe it takes a little bit more manpower, but is always going to be reliable.
Sure. Well, it's one of those things, like we're like, hey, we're going green, right? And we're being electric. At this point, I'd rather burn tires to roast coffee than to keep dealing with this. So,
I mean, sometimes you got to do third world things to get results.
that's where the beans are coming from. We might as well start adopting some of their practices. So, anyways, yeah. So that's been very exciting. Not like I employ a full-time roaster either. You know what I mean? So that's nice. Anyways,
Good times.
Oh, my man.
Good times.
Anything
Other than that, you
else?
have an interesting last 7 days. I'm going to avoid saying weekends and Wednesdays or Thursdays or things with you.
Yeah.
Just last 7 days, good?
yeah, I guess so. Trying to get a lot of stuff rolling for the business. That's all I ever focus on. You know me, just working.
For sure.
Yeah.
Pinky?
That's the perk of not having children.
I guess.
You get to
Perk or
focus on.
drawback, depending on how you want to decide it is for the day.
I don't know. Actually, if I had kids, maybe I'd be complicit with the idea of just working a 9 to 5. and I wouldn't be in this situation. So who knows?
Also a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know.
How his life would have changed.
How's being back on the phones, Pinky? How's life treating you since the back to norm?
It's my brain hurts at the end of the day. Talking to people, it sounds easy, but when you have to sound like sometimes you have to deal with difficult people and you still have to do it with a smile. That it hurts a little bit. And,
yeah, it does. You know what's funny is I've always told Zach, and he hates, I haven't said it to him in a long time, but I've told him in the past, I can do what you do. I don't think you can do what I do.
I think you have
One,
to
because
be,
he hates people. So that would already make it difficult. But having to sit there and listen and talk and answer questions consistently for, 8 hours, kid wouldn't make it a week.
I know it's at least my first couple days back because I haven't been getting snarky yet. And because my wife will usually check me when she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "You're being kind of snarky. Like, you should probably stop that." And I'm like, I'm tired of people, I tell them something and then they completely don't listen to me and then they ask me the same question again.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes that's frustrating. But it's good. At the end of the day, the best thing though, this job, it still gives me the ability to work the 8 hours or 10 today and just leave it at the door, right? I don't have to think about it when I leave. I don't have to worry about
That's
so-and-so or anything. It's just I'm done and I clocked out and I smiled when it's podcast night and came on over.
You know what blows my mind about you? You're the only person I know where you treat the ability to work more than you're required as a perk. Like that just hurt, that hurts my head to even try to comprehend.
I like that overtime, baby.
I get to be there longer than they want. That's no, yeah. I don't think anybody else is there with you, dude.
And again, it's not for everybody. It's hard.
That's
It's tough.
true. Very true.
But yeah, I do get to help people, so there's some personal fulfillment in that and what I do. So not bad.
Gotcha. That's how I feel. Like I'm a junior pharmaceutical company. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you slang coffee.
That's right.
You're one of the best drug salesmen out there.
That's right. Well, it's legal. Let's do it.
Just not going to touch that right now.
Hey, I definitely deal in keys. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like,
next week he gets raided.
I know,
Oh
right?
man, we could go down so many different roads. I'm gonna stay away from all of them at this point. I'm gonna stay in park.
I know, man. Twitch is ratting on me right now. They're like, no, we're feeding this straight to the feds.
Mr. Miami Vice over here.
I haven't got to see any movies lately. I have not.
That's surprising for you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get time to go see Jurassic Kingdom or whatever it's called. I wanted to see the Elvis movie that just came out.
Oh, I wanted to go see what's that one with Ethan Hawke? The weird supernatural horror film where he's like the serial killer locking the kids up in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
No? You don't know about
I
that
don't
one?
know about that one.
I don't know about that.
It's
Yeah.
out now. I want to go check that out.
Can't
Yeah,
say
maybe
I'm
you should-
familiar with such things, but then again, I'm not familiar with a lot of different things these days. So
Well,
Alright.
sure that's out. What is that? Is that the black phone?
Yes.
I've heard a lot of people talking about that actually.
All of a sudden.
I mean, the picture.
I didn't know what they were talking about, but at work I kept hearing people talking about the
movie
black phone.
Poster picture just looks weird. So
Yeah.
I'm not much of a horror guy myself, but I do like the movies that it has situations that could be real. I do like those types of horror movies.
I don't do horror. I can do thriller. Like I had people tell me Hostel was a horror movie, and I'm like, no, I would not classify that as a horror movie.
But that did scare me because that could happen.
Right, but that's why like that one I didn't go in there and just like rip apart and laugh through the whole thing. I was like, oh hot damn.
I saw
That's legit. And you know it's happening.
Us with Sam in the movie theater. And the opening part of the movie where they're on, there's
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
So they're standing on the lawn and there's just a group, identical family. They can't see it because it's dark. But there's 4 people standing on this guy's yard and he's with a baseball bat screaming at them. And they won't leave or they won't move. They won't say anything. Like that kind of freaks me out. Like, because that could happen.
I mean,
It's all the other stuff that, I don't really
that doesn't
enjoy
scare
too
me
much.
because it's like, well, you're just being a punk bitch for not just walking up there and hitting him with the bat. Like, why are you just sitting there yelling at him? Like, do something or shut up. Like, that's the thing about horror movies that pisses me off. Hey, let's go back into the house and make a phone call before we just run away. Like, no, how about you just keep running away?
See, we finished up the Marvelous
Joyride, dumb as shit.
Yeah, that.
That's pretty bad.
Like, I got a lot of examples.
That was the
like
Paul
but I
Walker
just-
one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Paul Walker
Is it?
and Zach.
Uh,
What's that weird that
Zahn,
guy's name?
Steve Zahn.
Steve Zahn. Yeah.
That's Joyride.
yeah.
What's the one where the truck
the
is chasing
semi-truckers.
the brother and sister? Not like a semi truck. It's like an old delivery truck.
Are you talking about the Stephen King one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's the Stephen King.
That one was just as dumb too. Like they put the guy in like a well, and then went back to check on him after they like got away. They went back to see if he was actually still in the well or something like that. They're all dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just don't do a lot of the horror movies, like any of the weird Conjuring or any of those. I just don't do those.
I remember my wife finally convinced me to watch one after a while, like right before we got married.
Conjuring was pretty good.
It was the Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, lame.
Dumb as so dumb.
Lame.
So dumb.
You've been warned, guys.
Cody wasn't a huge fan of Jurassic Park, it seems. He said it was okay.
I from the people I know or have told me about it, it is entertaining. It's not like the greatest movie.
It's a fan service movie. That's why they brought back the first cast and everything. Now that's a fan service movie I'm totally wanting to go see. Spider-Man was not. I didn't need fan service with Spider-Man.
Well, we've talked about that. We still don't know what your issue with Spider-Man is. So
They brought in characters from other movies that weren't that great. to fan service.
Boo. Everybody's tired of hearing your whack opinion.
The
Caleb.
first Jurassic Park, really good. Worth bringing in those people back.
The first Jurassic Park was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's also built on, once you see that movie, you kind of know what's going to happen from then on.
Like, this Spider-Man had a chance to completely own the Spider-Man collective thought. And instead, they brought back Spider-Mans that people would have rather just forgot about.
I mean, the other problem they had is they made the Spider-Verse was really, really awesome. And
With Miles Morales.
yeah, I don't think they wanted to.
That one was so good, actually.
It was fantastic. The
They
second
should've
one's
brought that in.
The second one's coming out soon. That's going to be really good.
That's what they should have brought in. Not Tobey Maguire and...
I loved Tobey Maguire. I'm pretty sure I shed a tear.
No. Ugh.
I did.
He wasn't even a good Spider-Man.
I liked him.
How about you liked it when he went like dark Spider-Man and he combed his hair all silly?
Number 3 is
thought
not.
he was a badass. And
That's not a good movie. Spider-Man 3 is not a good movie.
Right.
all lame.
Absolutely.
I'm
It
fairly
is
sure
not a good movie.
there's been public apologies for that too, I believe.
Spider-Man 1 and 2 when it first came out,
Yeah.
and then the Doc Ock one, the second one.
No.
Those are good movies.
I think good's overstating it.
Just a hater, bro.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
that's truth.
I don't know why we're friends. I don't know. Such a hater.
They were entertaining. I wouldn't call them.
I
Great
think.
cinema.
I think both of those are better than most of the movies DC's put out.
Those
That's not
movies-
saying much, but
Those movies are not made to be great cinema.
But like the first two Spider-Mans with Marvel were great.
shut up, John. John's out there saying Toby sucked as Spider-Man. He's a hater too.
Because
True.
John knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
hater.
I did see Doctor Strange over the weekend. Multiverse of Madness, pretty good. Pretty good. And anybody calling it a horror film, I'm not. Why? Because there was a dead dude that, like, come on, people, that wasn't anything close to
No,
horror.
no. If you look at it, like literally, the movie was just about people being chased by a witch. I mean, that sounds like a horror movie to me.
there was more blood in this Marvel movie than any other Marvel movie
Yeah,
to date. That's kinda
Really?
where it. Yeah.
by far, it was definitely like the most like legitimately violent / graphic Marvel movie. It wasn't even close. Like, especially what happened.
I would
to,
agree
like,
with that. I don't remember seeing a lot of blood,
Yeah, there was a decent amount.
but there was definitely some serious killing. No doubt
Yeah,
about that.
Yeah. It was.
But it was good. I thought it was
very dark.
really
So
good.
Andy and I were talking about it the other day while we were waiting for the Avs game. And he brought up a really good point that I didn't notice the first time around. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it by now, like, that's on you.
If
but-
I've seen it and you haven't, then you're behind.
Scarlet Witch, when she kills the Illuminati and, just destroys Black Bolt just like that, just destroys the Mr. Fantastic just like that, no effort at all, but, like, can't mess up Captain Carter. Like, they have a full-on battle scene with Captain Carter.
But you have to.
She can't just snap her fingers and turn that shield to dust. Are you kidding me?
She could have, but she was at that point also trying to fend off.
No, that was Marvel trying to have women have a badass fight scene.
No, I disagree. Because Miss Marvel,
Black Bolt is one of the stronger
Carol
characters.
Danvers. What's Carol Danvers?
That's Miss Marvel.
Yeah, Miss
Captain
Marvel, Captain Marvel. Thank
Captain
you.
Marvel.
Was going full lightning
But
bolt.
that wasn't Captain Marvel. That was
You know what I mean?
Monica
though.
Rambeau.
It was the same.
Yeah.
It was the exact same powers.
Now, Captain Marvel is a stronger character that, yes, could fight a battle with her.
So when she's
But-
going full fist bolts at you, then that gives Captain America, Captain UK or whatever they're calling
If
her.
she can make Black Bolt basic and Mr. Fantastic disappear with snapping her fingers, I'm pretty sure she'd have been like, Captain Carter, eat a dick, you're out, and been gone. Like,
Especially how she whacked Park Xavier, dude.
Right.
That's jacked.
right? Went
I loved
inside his
all of
head.
that. That was great.
Great sequence, great fight. And the fight scene between them is great.
And the way she kills
again,
Black Bolt and the Mr. Fantastic,
she
the way she
kills-
does that, it's unexpected for
she
the
kills the
Illuminati to
men.
think they can be taken off that
she
quickly.
kills the men just like
No,
that.
I disagree, Pinky. That wasn't.
And we have a really long fight scene with two women who don't have quite the same powers.
I disagree with that. I don't.
Now we know Caleb's a mark. See,
I don't think that's the right way to look at that.
We've
I
been-
can see why you would, but that's not.
Now,
Black Bolt's a bitch, anyways. I'm gonna scream and you're gonna die. Like, get rid of that character immediately.
yeah, that sounds actually really sexist. That's her superpower is literally yelling at you. to
no,
death.
Black Bolt's a man.
Oh, never mind.
That's Banshee.
Oh, okay.
There is a character that does that. with-
Banshee's also a dude,
Banshee.
according to X-Men.
Not well. I guess I'm thinking of Black Canary in DC.
Well, that movie
She
was really
screams in-
terrible.
Black,
So we don't need to talk
Black
about that
Canary's
movie.
not been in a movie yet.
Yeah, she has.
No, she hasn't. She's been in a DC TV show. but
No,
hasn't
she
been in a
was
movie.
in the movie.
Which movie?
Which
The Harley Quinn one. Birds of Prey.
Uh,
She was Black
she?
Canary was in that movie.
Let's fact.
the version. I think she was. I think he's right.
It was a really bad
think
version
right.
if that's the case, but it was Black
I don't think
Canary
they did
by
it
name.
quite.
But that movie was trash too. So I mean, let's move along from DC. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked the storyline. I loved at the very beginning where Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange are just talking about the situation, and she mentions America's name, and then they both kind of just stop walking in the field. Then she just turns around. She's like, you didn't tell me her name, did you?" He's like, "Mm-mm." And then she just like snaps her fingers, and then you just see like death everywhere instead of like this happy apple orchard. And loved it. It was good. I liked it.
The only thing I didn't understand about that is like, if you're so powerful, why don't you just literally create your own little fictitious world and live in that and leave everybody
did.
else alone?
That was a TV show.
But it had too many fractures in it because it was too much. Trying to control that much
That's
at once.
literally.
That's what the TV show was.
That's
yeah.
the TV show. She literally took over a whole town, controlled everybody's mind in the whole town, and she had kids, and Vision was her husband.
Yeah,
That's what caused her to go crazy here, is because she had made up her kids and now she actually wanted them.
oh wait, so they weren't even real?
No,
Oh,
There are real in other universes,
just not this.
just
one.
not this one.
gotcha. See, I asked my brother, like, give me the cliff notes. What's the information I need from that show? He left that part out. All right.
It's kind of a large
That-
part of the clip
that
notes that
was-
should have been included.
That was all I needed to know. Like,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
weren't even real to begin with. Like, this whole time I was like,
In
oh,
this
did he really-
universe, they're not real.
Yeah, she made them up after Vision was killed and Thanos, all that stuff happened.
Oh.
She went kind of psycho Scarlet Witch instead of Maximoff.
Yeah, Wanda Maximoff.
Wanda Maximoff. And that's also what I loved in Doctor Strange, how Xavier found Wanda actually in there and is like, if I could just pull you out from here, we could
I did like
possibly
that.
save.
I did like that.
And then Scarlet Witch is like, oh no, silly man. No, you're underestimating me. Crush.
Poor Xavier. Getting tired of watching him die.
You know, he's a cocky mofo. And it comes back to bite him every
I
time.
love Xavier in Logan.
Yes. Same.
Oh, yeah.
I love that concept of him
Where
not
he's
being able to
just
control
crazy,
himself.
basically at that point,
Yeah.
and anything can set off a world breaker. Yeah, that's cool. That is cool.
I don't know if I've seen anything else recently.
I hate Old Man Logan though. I know it's part of the comics, but I hate that. Like, he regenerates. How is he going to just magically stop doing that? Dumb.
It's just another way for them to do a different story, which is great about comics. Like, you can you can do anything you want in comics.
Well, obviously.
Maybe there was a recall on his, his skeletal system.
Well, the theory, and granted, I'm not a huge comic book guy. I love them, but I don't know them the way I know sports. It's because of the adamantium. And the adamantium slowly is basically poisoning him over time, and it eventually catches up and starts taking its toll. And that's what causes
I believe that's
the
correct.
Old
I
Man
would have
Logan scenario.
Andy's the guy that knows like the storylines, the backstories, he knows all of it. He's pretty crazy.
I'm all for hearing, but that's the way, based on my research, I understood it. Because Wolverine was one of my favorites as a kid. So then I learned about this Old Man Logan crap, and I was like, what? Nonsense.
And don't you like the fact that my sarcasm basically pinpointed what actually happened? I said it was an issue with his skeletal system.
Yeah.
And look at that. See?
It was. It truly was.
It's like I'm a prophet in reverse.
So basically, if he hadn't ever gotten the adamantium, he wouldn't have been as awesome as he was throughout time, but he would have lived forever.
He had basically been the T1000.
He would have had those weird bone claws
That break.
instead.
Yeah, that
But
doesn't.
they reform. Yeah.
They
yeah,
do
but they
reform.
don't. They're not going to cut through everything. You know what I
No.
mean? Like
I don't
them
know.
bone claws aren't
Says-
going through most of the stuff.
It was still enough to stab a bitch. I know that.
True. True.
like that's not taking down Juggernaut. You know what I mean?
That's not taking down Juggernaut. Not many people can take down Juggernaut. God, I can't wait till the next Deadpool
Yeah, Disney already said it'll be R-rated,
in production.
so it will be.
Is that Disney's first R?
No, they've had some other R's.
What?
They had one back in
That's
the day,
the first.
actually.
I think that's the first Marvel R.
Yeah,
but-
it's gonna be the first one. They had a. I can't remember what it is now, and I'm gonna draw a blank. But they had one like back in the day, and it kind of flopped.
You're
'Cause
talking
it was
about
just-
the Bruce Willis one?
it was poor timing of when it came out, and it caused a big hubbub, and they haven't done one.
Disney
since.
produced a Bruce Willis film that was very sexual in nature, and that did not go over well.
Okay, so what I pulled up here, Disney has never released an R-rated film under the Disney brand.
No,
Okay, that's what I was talking about.
But they've
well, so my bad. It
subsidiaries
wasn't a
of
direct. It's like Marvel's not a direct Disney brand. It's Marvel,
Oh,
but it's
well-
under the Disney name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't count. That's why you do that. You pick different production
Well,
studios. to do
but the
things you
movie
wouldn't
I'm
normally
talking
do.
about is what led to them going strictly Disney for a while. And then just recently they started acquiring others and putting out things in other names and things of that nature to basically say, look, we can do this. We don't have to be just cartoons kind of thing. I can't remember. It was like in the early 80s, I believe, if I remember correctly.
It's pretty far back.
Yeah.
Were you even born yet, Aaron?
Maybe depends what year exactly.
That was also like their lean animation days. Was the early 80s with their animation movies, and then late 80s with what was it? Little Mermaid,
Beauty and the Beast, Little
Beauty and the
Mermaid,
Beast,
Lion
Aladdin.
King,
Lion King's like 94.
Aladdin. Yeah, Aladdin. Was
But
big.
right around that time is when they had their resurgence again. They kind of came back. But yeah, the early 80s, that's like early mid 80s was like the Black Cauldron. Like people forget that that's even a Disney animation movie. Cult classic, really good
I don't
actually.
even know if I've ever heard
I know
that
what
one.
you're talking about. You were talking about Color of Night with Bruce Willis.
That's
right?
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually is like Disney owned the rights to that.
Gotcha.
They don't. I don't think they put it out as like a Disney movie, but
No.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking
No,
about
no,
too.
no.
But yeah, there was
Yeah, that one like nearly had an NC-17 rating when
Yeah.
it came out.
it was.
they tried to
very
to
graphic.
basically have an adult. What was the company that put that out? Do you see?
I can see here. Let's see.
Because that's what Disney did. They created like another company to start putting out adult movies, and it did not go out well, and they basically ditched the whole idea for a while. It's like the redheaded stepchild at Disney for a while.
I don't see a production company assigned to this. Oh, here we go. Synergy Pictures and Hollywood Pictures. I'm pretty sure Hollywood Pictures is the one owned by Disney.
Could be.
Yeah, because yeah. So, and they started in 1990, actually.
John says that Disney might have had a stake in Miramax.
I don't know,
I
actually.
don't know about that, but
Who's this John character?
my buddy John.
I love
Andy
how
and
you
I-
say that. Like I should just like I ask who it is, and Pete's like, my buddy John.
Yeah, John.
Oh,
I mean,
well, John.
John Haupt, nice guy. Andy and I have worked
Oh.
with him.
Yeah. Comments all the time on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I know which John you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just saying John. I'm like, I don't.
That's a general name.
You haven't brought
yeah.
a John into the studio, so I'm not quite
I mean,
sure. But
John-
now I know.
John
yes.
should know since he's one of our top fans. He is welcome anytime he wants to jump in.
for sure.
But-
Make a trip up. Let's go.
Yeah, good, really cool
Jump
guy.
on, buddy.
John and I. We made that movie together, that Cubes movie.
The one that he said he would never find a way to sit down for again.
Yeah,
That
because
one?
he's kind of a
Okay.
dick.
I don't think that's a dick move to not want to watch that.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm just saying.
But I think if you have a couple drinks first, I think you'll still enjoy it, Aaron. That's all I'm saying.
It wasn't even widescreen, bro.
Okay, it's not the best format.
But am I gonna watch it on my Game Boy?
We had a
Plus?
hey.
He's like, bro, it's 4:3.
Hey,
Come on.
We had a budget of 0. Okay.
Not even widescreen, bro. Well, that's another shirt. Put that one on the list.
Gosh, man.
It's disrespectful to today's TVs. That's
If
all
I
I'm
haven't
saying.
known this guy for a decade, I might be really
Oh my
offended.
God, that was awesome. That's definitely another T-shirt. Not even widescreen, bro.
Man, good stuff.
Oh goodness. All right. Moving along. Things that were in widescreen that we got to see very clearly Wednesday night was a certain cup of Lord Stanley's
Well, that was
coming
Sunday.
back to Colorado. That's what I said, Sunday night.
You said Wednesday, but it's okay. I knew what you meant.
Did I really?
You did.
Because the whole time in my head, all I heard was Sunday night.
Now, when it's here, and tomorrow it's going to be at Coors Field, which is Wednesday.
Which they shouldn't even, like, the keeper of the cup should say, no, it's not allowed in there. We don't defile it that poorly. That's what he should say.
I think they were just trying to increase the value of Coors Field by letting it touch that.
No, it's just another stupid ass way for the Momforts to bring people into those goddamn turnstiles. Makes me sick.
So, if anybody out there is living under a rock, the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup Sunday night.
Brilliant fashion.
It was a 6-game series, and it had some interesting ebbs and flows in it as the series goes.
All but game 2 were close, good games.
Yeah, game 2 and 3. Game 3 got away from the Avs pretty quick, but
it wasn't. They
it's not
still
as bad
felt
as the score.
They still felt in it until like the last 5 minutes of the game, when all of a sudden Tampa hung a couple, and then it was over.
Then it was over. Yeah,
it wasn't a 7-0 blowout where Colorado just had Tampa on their heels all night, and it never looked like Tampa had a prayer.
Game 1 was an overtime game, wasn't it?
Yep.
Game 1 was overtime. 4-3, I believe, by the Avs, which comes out to be huge in the series. An anomaly, 7-0.
And
Avs.
game 4 was overtime win with Kadri.
Yeah. And then we had game 3 where the game just got away from the Avs in Tampa. Game 4 was a overtime win with one of the coolest goals ever, because it faked out the cameraman.
And
it
if
faked
you're
out
a
everybody.
Tampa fan, hugely controversial, even though it's an absolute joke to say so.
Yeah. Aaron, do you know anything about that one? Did you see that?
Nope.
So there was a lot of
Send me that
controversy.
invite.
The coach. What?
Send me that invite
What invite?
so I can see what people are saying.
I'm just on the Facebook. I'm logged in as myself on the Facebook thing.
Oh, okay.
So there was 6 Avalanche. So in hockey, I know you're not the biggest hockey guy.
What game was it?
Game 4.
Game 4. I'll just.
Or 5. Yeah, game 4. Game 4.
Okay.
So there's people coming in and off the ice, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's like a split second where guys are jumping into the box and coming out of the box, right?
Gotcha.
So there's kind of like a zone right there by that box. So there happens to be 6 Avalanche players on the ice at the time.
It wasn't the overtime one, was it?
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
this was literally 5 seconds before the overtime goal was scored.
Hold on. One second.
Oh yeah, you just gonna play it?
Here's the
Aaron's
quick
just gonna play it.
counterattack. It's Kadri back in action, denied by Vasilevsky. Oh, what a play!
Everybody thought Vasilevsky had that puck. Everybody. And then Byram comes running around the backside of the net and just starts pointing at the top of the net to the refs.
So what you'll see, they were not going to show this, Aaron, but they have freeze frame, and the Tampa Bay Lightning coach goes crazy.
Oh,
because they have
interesting.
freeze frame of 6 Avalanche players on the ice.
Uh-huh.
From the Avalanche's goalie's perspective, so looking the opposite way down ice from what you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
They see 6 Avs players on the ice.
Guess how many Tampa Bay players are on the ice?
I got no clue.
7.
Oh, you can only have 5 to help you out there a little bit.
So like the coach's whole thing about it, and he literally had a minute press conference.
Uh-huh.
He was just like, you guys will see tomorrow and you'll see what we're upset about. And I can't handle it right now, and walked out, which was really funny because I was just like, no, coach, you need to be like, hey, they ended up winning. We're going to play harder next game. Like,
Yeah.
He
Be
was
a
smart
coach.
to say as little as possible. The dude's a former lawyer, so
Yeah. So sure enough, like when they freeze frame it, I'm like, yeah, there is a sixth guy right there, and he's right by the box. But you have 7 because you have 2 guys coming out of the box. So what is your complaint?
Right.
Right. But as you can see with that goal, like nobody knew it was a goal until you slow it down and you see that the puck gets caught in the net.
Yeah.
Because the lamp doesn't go off.
And the real controversy comes into play because technically the guy who scored the goal, Nazem Kadri, was the 6th man on the ice.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's why they were so upset, because he's the one that the penalty should have been called on, and then he scores the game-winning goal.
Oh, I see. It wasn't a power play or anything like
Nope.
that going on, right?
Nope, even strength, 5-on-5.
Well,
And the only
doesn't
reason
sound like it.
the only reason it was too many men on the ice in their view is because the guy who was going to jump off ice and switch with Kadri ended up coming back out, and Nathan McKinnon came from like mid ice and tried to get back over to the box. And so it was they made a last second weird switch decision, but Kadri had already come on and went and got the puck.
So
and because he touched the puck, that's what could cause the too many men on the ice.
Oh, okay. So it's not like football, like where if the play starts when you have too many men, it's a dead play. Nothing like that.
No, because hockey's a continuous motion, basically. So
okay.
the way you get, like, if you're within 5 feet of the bench, they won't ever call it really. And there's some other caveats that I ended up reading about, and I won't go into all of them right now. But basically, per the hockey rule book, this could go either way. It could be considered a legal play or an illegal play, depending on how you want to look at the situation. And pretty much all hockey experts I talked to or I listened to had it split. Yes, it was too many men. No, it was not too many men. But what they all agreed on, which I found surprising, was that it was a good no call.
Gotcha.
So, and like Pinky said, there were 7 Tampa players on the ice at the exact same time that they were trying to claim there were 6 Avs. So, worst case, it would have been offsetting penalties, and they would have gone to, instead of 5-on-5, it would have gone to 4-on-4. But I think really Tampa was so frustrated at that point because they knew that game's momentum had shifted so drastically by the time overtime came. They weren't winning regardless.
Again,
so they were looking for things to nitpick to try and sway
in that game
momentum
specifically,
Makes
that
sense.
overtime, the Avs dominated that overtime. The fact that they didn't win it sooner than that is crazy.
The momentum completely shifted probably about 5 minutes to go in the second period. In the third period, the Avs were just rolling. So, yeah, that wasn't going to go down any differently. But, Avs, little sketchy game 6 start. Some miscommunication that led to a very easy goal. No fault of the goalies, in my opinion. When you get a great player like that wide open in the front of the net, he's going to score pretty much every time.
Pretty easy.
So for them to come back and hang 2 in the second period the way they did, Nathan McKinnon showed out, goal and an assist. Cale Makar wins another piece of hardware.
And again,
most decorated 23-year-old in hockey history.
Tampa disputed both goals. They tried to say that there were penalties on both goals.
No. The first goal of McKinnon's, they tried to say that there was a delayed penalty. And so they were saying that play should have been stopped because they had gained possession of the puck, which would have stopped and then caused the power play to start. But they never actually gained possession of the puck when the ref's hand finally went up for the penalty call. So the play was allowed to continue. So that was what they were arguing on the first one. The second one, I don't even know what they were trying to complain about. Like, they were just trying to find ways.
They were complaining about the trip.
I mean,
so the guy was technically tripped at mid-ice.
Not really. They ran into each other, but I mean, whatever.
They were fighting like every goal that was scored. And the fact that the Avs in the third period, I mean, that defense they played in the third period was just crazy. Like, I was not expecting that. I was like, for sure, like, we need to score another goal at minimum.
Well, and that's what made it so great. And I think that's why the NHL is so scared going into next season, is they go, well, Avalanche is just a high octane offense. And you just have to try to keep up with them. They won this cup literally based on being able to play defense. And nobody was expecting that.
I mean, not being the biggest hockey fan, I've been kind of growing my hockey fandom over the last few years as the Avalanche have been better and better. Tampa Bay's like ability to block shots, every single guy jumping in front of pucks. That goalie, damn.
Exactly, Cody. Exactly. Yeah, Vasilevsky is incredible. He'll probably go down as an all-time great, and he's only 27, I believe.
I mean, he's starting to bald. I can see that, but he is.
He's Russian. I mean, that's kind of a trait.
He is fantastic. If you just if you're somebody who doesn't watch it a lot, you can just watch. Like, they were just continually shooting on that guy.
Well, he's the only reason they were in the series at all to begin with. People were trying to talk about, mostly Tampa fans and their media were trying to say how the line going against McKinnon was shutting him down. And if you really looked at the film, they weren't doing anything close to shutting McKinnon down. Not even, he was skating circles around those dudes. But Vasilevsky was just always finding a way to be in the right spot at the right time. And that's why McKinnon he wasn't struggling by normal hockey standards, but by great expectations that he had set in the previous series, people were trying to say he was struggling. But came out, series clinching game, goal and an assist. Dude, that goalie was a laser beam. One-time laser beam into the net. That thing had to be clocked close to 95, 100 miles an hour. It was
nice.
So,
and Lekkonen's goal.
Lekkonen's was really nice. And that was
really nice.
That was, Avs getting a little bit of a break. McKinnon trying to shoot it over to his right off a one-timer. Hits the guy's skate, comes back towards the middle. He passes it over to Lekkonen, one time into the net. So, puck definitely went the Avs' way, which was nice.
Yeah, and gosh, from 5 years ago being the worst team in the NHL to now being the best.
Yeah.
Again, I still think they should have won last year, and they got knocked out early. So,
well, and that's
good.
Based on McKinnon's reactions last year after they lost to Vegas, I think they all felt last year was the year that they should have won, and they should be going for 2 right now. But I don't see a lot of guys jumping ship. And I honestly see a lot of guys being willing to take a little bit less to stay with this team because they know there's something special here that they could be a part of.
It'd be nice to be able to keep Kadri. I don't know if we can do it, but it'd be nice to be able to keep him.
We'll see. It's a very tight-knit group by all accounts. The guys they brought in halfway through the season fit in really well and enjoyed being here. They felt appreciated.
Yeah, Manson, Cogliano, Lekkonen,
Helm,
yeah.
Helm might have been beginning of the season.
Was it Schrum? Maybe not. I don't know. There was a couple guys that helped us win.
Cody, I agree. That was the next one I was going to bring up. Eric Johnson was a number 1 overall pick by the Avs. Or not by the Avs.
We traded for him.
After 2 years of being in the league.
But he's been in
the league for 14 years. He's been with the Avs for 12, I believe is the number. Former number 1 overall pick. By all accounts, hasn't quite lived up to the number 1 overall pick expectations. Hasn't been a bust by any means. He's no Jamarcus Russell.
If you play 14 seasons, I don't think you're a bust.
But maybe not quite that number 1 pick status, if you will, when you look at guys like McKinnon and Makar and Landeskog, guys that are on the Avs team that you could easily say should have been or were number 1 pick type guys. Landeskog for being the captain since he was 19. That dude was the captain.
Let's go. Cody says Kemper is an unrestricted free agent, so we got to get.
He'll be back.
Probably got to
be back. He'll be the first sign they have this offseason.
He had a really good finals.
He had a really good playoffs.
Besides,
he's not the best goalie in the league, but the way he played in the playoffs, based on all the other playoff results I saw, I called Kemper a top 5 goalie in the playoffs easy after his playoff performance.
He was pretty solid. Now, it's all you got to do is play pretty well when you have a team that can score like they can score. So that does help.
It does. I mean, it takes a lot of the pressure off. When your team can keep it in the offensive side of the ice and you don't have to deal with a lot of traffic in front of you all game, that helps. But at the same time, you could argue that that's more difficult because when you see less shots, you have to be on for every shot rather than getting to work your way into a rhythm. So the fact that he's able to go back and forth at times was a huge get for the Avs.
And he'll let some silly goals in from time to time.
He's known to allow some easy ones, if you will, go by. but then go back and stand on his head the rest of the game.
I give him a lot of credit for Game 6. Like he really played probably.
Well, like I
his
said,
best
that
game.
first goal was not him. There's no way he's stopping that.
That guy, like the rebound comes out, gets to him, and he's 5 feet from the goal. It's right on you. There's not much you're going to be able to do.
As the goalie's trying to turn from right to left, that guy's already centered up shooting the puck. So that's most goalies. You're lucky if you make that stop. So the fact that he didn't allow another goal after that, with some of the chances that Tampa did have after that, point blank chances that he shut them down on, Kemper will be back next year. I have no doubt with that. It'll be interesting to see if Kadri comes back. It'll be interesting to see if Lehkonen comes back. And it'll be interesting to see if Manson comes back. Those are the biggest ones for me to see, probably in that order as well.
I'm excited, man. I'm going to go check out the parade Thursday and have some fun. And it should be a good time. I didn't get a chance to do the Broncos parade last time, so I really wanted to try to get out there for this one. Celebrate properly.
Congratulations, Avs. And as I was saying all Sunday night, legacy initiated.
Well, they're already got the best odds to win the cup next season right now.
Like McCarr said, that's a team going for a dynasty, and we're going to create a legacy.
How good is that kid? Jesus.
Best in the NHL right now. Best player in the NHL right now. I don't care what anybody says. He is the best player in the NHL right now.
That young, he's already done something that nobody's ever done. Yep. He won the best hockey player in college.
Hobie Baker.
He won the best. He won the Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
He won the Conn Smythe.
Best defenseman.
He won a Stanley Cup, and he won a Norris Trophy.
Yeah,
nobody's
Trophy,
won
best defenseman,
all of
Conn
those.
Smythe, MVP of the NHL playoffs. No defenseman has won all four. You got to clarify that, because the Norris Trophy is a defenseman only trophy. So, yes, he's the only person to do it, but technically, the way hockey states it, he's the only defenseman to ever do it.
And let's give credit to Jared Bednar, the coach, who has won a championship at every level now, and that's not been done.
Think about
before.
this: worst record in the league, worst in NHL history. He didn't think. He was worried that he wasn't going to be asked to come back for a second season. Imagine what would have happened if the Avs had said, "Thanks for the year, you're gone." If they had pulled an Arizona Cardinals. Appreciate you. We're going to try again.
Well, they knew they didn't quite have the roster yet, so they gave him some time.
Yeah, but it was so bad that there was a lot of murmuring going on back then. I remember it.
Well, even last year, the fourth straight year you get out in the second round.
Fourth straight year out of the playoffs. It was the third straight year getting knocked out in the second round.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get to a second round. I can say that as a Cowboys fan. I would be. That's something we're celebrating.
But we should keep that coach.
Yeah. We're making progress.
So that'll be fun to go to the parade, Pinky.
That's gonna be good, man. I'm excited. I get to spend time with Bill and Andy, so that's always a good time.
I'll be interested to hear what you tell me the cup looks like. Quickest the cup has ever been damaged in the history of the NHL by a guy who didn't even play, trying to skate down ice to jump into the team picture. Eats it 3 feet away from the group sitting up for the team picture and dents the bottom of the cup.
I mean, that figures, right?
But let's be honest, the cup's seen far worse.
It's probably.
No, not probably. That's a guarantee.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you the cup has seen far worse.
And Cody and I already talked about it. I would do some really, really nasty stuff with that cup.
Huh.
I'm that kind of guy.
And no, he's not talking about like eating nachos out of the cup, ladies.
I might do that. I might.
Yeah, but that's not where you're going with that.
No. I mean, that sounds good though, because I think you can get quite a bit of nachos in that cup.
I'm not going to come close to inquiring. So
this guy.
Yeah, you don't want to deep dive on that.
I'm good.
You turn that subject real quick.
Yeah. What's next?
So I'm not the biggest NBA analyst, as most people know, but I watched over half of the NBA draft.
You're not the worst in the room, so don't worry about that.
That's true. I got a little bit. Caleb, Pinky Jr. and I.
What kind of standards are we trying to set here, SP?
Not much.
How high do we really want to keep that bar, right?
Yeah.
So watching the NBA draft and with Pinky Jr. and we're sitting there and we're like watching it. And literally, and what pissed me off more than anything, and I don't know a lot of the kids. I watched some of the kids during the tourney. So I got to know a little bit, like Paulo. I kind of know who Parlo was, and Jabari Smith, and Chet Holmgren. I kind of knew who those guys were. But I'm sitting there, and every single time my phone would blow up right before the pick, telling me who was getting drafted. That was so frustrating. I'm
It
like,
used
why
to be a
am
big problem for the NFL, and they put a
stopped it.
kibosh on it,
Yeah.
and the NBA just doesn't care.
So the NFL, what they did to change it, because this was Rich Eisen is the one that got it changed, because he does all the draft coverage, and he was like, wait, why is it all these people are tweeting what's happening?
Well,
and we're
Schefter was
showing-
one of the biggest
Schefter was.
issues, and he was doing his job, so you can't be mad at him.
And then we're showing video of guys on the phone before they get picked,
Yeah.
right? And the NFL put a kibosh on it and said no. And they've turned it into more of an event of you don't know, because you don't see the guy on the phone first, and you don't know if they got picked, and nobody's tweeting about it.
Well, and they went to a lot of those media members and said, hey, like, let's make a handshake deal where you're not going to do that anymore, so we can keep this,
That's
part
where
of
that's where the
experience.
NBA needs to get, because Andrew Wojnarowski or whatever his name was,
Wojnarowski, Woj.
whatever, he ruined every pick. He made the draft not worth watching. Now, that was one half of what made it not worth watching. The other half was Jay Bilas. Great guy. Sounds great.
Jay.
He loves everybody.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who has a really hard time because he always sees them as kids. That's how he always talks about, because
They
you
are.
know the College Game Day on ESPN?
Yeah.
He's like the main dude. He's the Kirk Herbstreit of College Game Day for the basketball season. And so he's like Kirk Herbstreit, never has a bad. He'll always turn a negative comment into a positive somehow.
On draft analysis, I need more analysis. If it's not a good fit for that team, or you're kind of scratching your head, you can tell me that and then just say, like, well, the kid does this well. Like, you can still say the kid has some good attributes and do that, but I still need you to be like, actually be an analyst. And I didn't hear any of that. It was roses and sunshine for every single player that got drafted.
He did. I could agree with that. Yeah. I would say, as far as the draft itself goes,
Shocker at number one,
Greg,
technically.
No.
For
not even a little bit.
Leading up to the draft, everything was Jabari. Everything.
No.
Everything.
No, it wasn't.
I'm telling you. There was an article this week that Vegas lost tons of money on that, because everybody
Vegas's
put money
fault.
on.
Every NBA analyst had always said it's a three-man race. You can't go wrong with either of the three. That was always what it was. Jabari made a late push, but don't listen to Vegas when it comes to draft picks.
I wouldn't have drafted Chet Holmgren anyway, so whatever.
He's going to be really good, I think.
I don't know. That dude looks like a twig, man.
Who cares? It's modern
My
NBA.
6'5".
It's not the 80s NBA.
My 6'5", 17-year-old could box that dude out.
Oh.
Yes, he could.
No, he couldn't. He could put a body on him, but he's not boxing him out because he's going to use his 7'9" wingspan and just reach up over him and take it.
He can box him out. It doesn't mean he's going to jump over him, but he would box him out.
No, I think you don't quite understand what the meaning of box out means. Box out means your guy is not getting the ball. That's what boxing somebody out means.
He's going to do
if they can reach over you, you didn't box them out because they were still close enough to the basket to get the ball. Chet Holmgren's not going to get boxed out very often. He plays great D, especially from the weak side help, and he can play anywhere on the offensive side of the ball, 1 through 5.
John knows what's up.
Obviously not.
He does. I do not. I'm not a Chet Holmgren fan. I'm not.
Next, Adam Moore. They're not even comparable, John.
They're a little bit different players.
Not even comparable, my guy. If you're going to compare him at all, he's coming into the league Kevin Durant, who everybody said was too skinny and going to break at 7 feet. That's exactly the comparison that should be made right now.
Chet Holmgren's not or ever been the scorer that Kevin Durant was.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not.
Oh, Pinky, don't argue with me about this. You don't know. As a freshman at Gonzaga, he was already the number one option. with that roster, he can shoot from 30 feet. He can handle the ball. He can create his own shot. And the dude plays defense. Like, that is nothing like an Adam Morrison. The only reason he made that comparison is because Adam Morrison
They
is
go to
from
the same
Gonzaga.
school, and he busted.
Yes. Chet Holmgren's going to be legit, especially in today's modern NBA. You're not banging. That's not part of the NBA anymore. So everybody if the dude was going to break, he would have broken high school. And he hasn't broke since. And he didn't break then. So would you like to see him put a little bit of weight on? Yeah, absolutely. But, dude, I didn't start putting weight on my body no matter how hard I tried until I was 29.
And you're not the second pick in the NBA draft, though.
No, but the fact that you should know
What does that have to do with it, Pinky?
it takes a long time for people's bodies to develop to be able to do those things. If you have the talent, you draft on the talent.
We'll see. Half the guys that get drafted don't do much anyway.
No,
so.
probably more than I think I read it something like there is a 33% chance that the number one pick will be a great player. That's terrible odds.
Horrible.
So the NBA draft is about as much of a crapshoot as Major League Baseball hitting. You can get those numbers, you're doing pretty good kind of thing. So it was, it's going to be a crapshoot. But those top 3 picks, I think, will be just fine, especially because they went to good landing spots for him, I think. I think Banchero going down to Orlando, there's some pieces around them that they could be pretty solid. I don't ever see Banchero being a great player. I see him being a good player. Jabari Smith, I could see being a great player. There are some traits there that could allow him to be almost Antetokounmpo-like, depending on how he develops. And I honestly do see Chet being a mini KD type of growth. Will he be as good as KD? I'd be asking a lot. But I could see him developing into an all-star for sure. For sure. Because, again, he plays both ends of the court and he can play all 5 positions on the offensive side. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
We'll see.
So, I mean, think about this. You got to be able to look a little further ahead. Nobody saw Jokic becoming a 2-time MVP.
Well, that's because nobody saw him get drafted.
Also true. It was during a Taco Bell commercial. Still hilarious. But you watch his game his rookie year, you go, oh.
That's the best meme. Like, they throw it up every year. It's like
every
around
time
draft
the Nuggets
time.
pick, yeah.
Yeah, they just throw it up. Like, it shows like Kobe getting drafted or, a couple guys getting drafted. And then just a quesarito.
Yeah. Quesarito commercial.
That is so sad.
So, but if you looked at Jokic, the only drawbacks that people could knock him on were his speed, his lack of defensive awareness at times, and his lack of quote-unquote athleticism. If you really watched his game, super fundamentally sound. And his vision was absurd. So you have to look past some of these bullshit stats, empty stats as you like to call them, Pinky, that people try to judge these guys on. And the NBA is notorious for athleticism first, everything else second. And it's bit so many people in the butt. The NBA literally created a rule that said you have to go to at least the college ranks or be 1 year removed from high school of some kind before you're allowed to be drafted. Because too many stupid owners saw this crazy athleticism from a high school kid and it burned them. And so the NBA literally created a rule to protect the owners from themselves. Is literally what happened. So I think the first mistake in the draft was at pick 4. And Greg, if you're listening, close your ears. No surprise, Sacramento made a stupid pick. And they drafted for need when this was a lot of people who are basketball people were saying Jaden Ivey could have gone 1. Now, the Magic didn't necessarily need a guard. Oklahoma City definitely didn't need a point guard. Why am I drawing a blank on where Jabari Smith went? Atlanta? Houston. Thank you. Houston. I was like, red team. Houston didn't necessarily need a guard. So in that sense, it doesn't surprise a lot of people that Jaden Ivey fell down the board because those teams didn't really need guards. They needed some wing stretch fours kind of positions. And that's what they ended up drafting for. Sacramento could have used another guard. they're trash everywhere. Now, De'Aaron Fox is really good, but you could easily play De'Aaron Fox and Jaden Ivey together in the same backcourt. Easily. And it could instantly be one of the top 5 backcourts in the NBA. Like, that's how good both of those dudes are and could be together.
I mean, that was one of the like shockers of the draft. I know when I was watching it, it was like,
and I'm drawing a blank
the
on who
analysts
they
were
even-
like Murray.
I'm drawing a blank on, yeah, it was like Keegan Murray. Thank you.
Keegan Murray, yeah.
Not a bad player, but he's not Jaden Ivey. And you drafted need instead of talent. What does that usually equate to?
These are the same guys that drafted Badgley over Luka. I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah. That's why I'm amazed they're Sacramento Kings fans.
I think at this point it's a badge of honor to stay a Kings fan and knowing that they're going to be horrible and make horrible decisions, and just be able to joke at it. Then really,
as long
wanna
as this
have a
is the
winning
owner,
team.
it's never going to get turned around.
Like, I have no doubt. I mean, if they're your team, it's their team. It's your team.
No. See,
But
this
there
is
are-
what's funny. Nobody, as far as I'm concerned, nobody was a Kings fan by generational handing down. All these Kings fans right now who claim to be Kings fans became Kings fans when the Maloof brothers owned them. And they had Vlade and Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Jason Williams, and they were going to the Western Conference Finals and having those battles against the Lakers. That's when all these Kings fans became Kings fans. And for whatever reason, they have this delusion, this weird, odd delusion that they're going to turn it around again at some point. And as long as their owner is in place right now, they are never going to be good. This dude makes terrible choice after terrible choice, and it is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
This guy's worse than the Browns. That's how bad he is.
but yeah, I can't even debate that. I'm pretty confident Greg could run this team better than their current,
I could
GM
run
and
this team
ownership.
better. It's not hard. You could probably run the team better, Pinky. That's how bad they are.
I think I could do that, Aaron. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know much about basketball, but
Aaron, you could run it better.
that's probably
Literally, you could watch a basketball game, scout a couple of people, and be like, oh, yeah, why would you pick that guy? This guy's better. Like, that's how bad this owner is.
Hey, I also argue though that there's probably a few Madden players that can coach better than a good portion of NFL coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be the case. Yeah,
Once you get in that good old boy system, though, you got to stay in.
it's true.
The Kings' issue has never been coaching, as far as I'm concerned. Shoot, they had the Denver Nuggets coach, Mike Malone, and let his ass go. They had DeMarcus Cousins and couldn't keep him on the team because they were so atrocious. He left in free agency and didn't even want the Supermax from him. Actually, they traded him to New Orleans before he could get the Super.
Yeah.
But he was leaving. You know what I mean? Like, they knew it.
If you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, Supermax has a much different context. So because they have the most players that went to prison,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait a second.
Not prison,
Oh, excuse me, jail.
not jail.
I've been arrested.
I've
Incarcerated.
been arrested.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Excuse me.
That list does not break down felonies, misdemeanors.
Pinky's upset because the Broncos are sitting at like number 2.
There are number 2.
Pinky's mad because he's like, well, like 90% of those
mean,
for us are like
Von Miller
misdemeanors.
got
That's not a
arrested
big
like
deal.
2 or 3 times. Like, he didn't go to
You should
jail.
be proud. It's one of the first times you could brag about them being like top 3 anything. So, but
How many Super Bowls have the Cowboys been to since 95?
well, yeah, if you pick
Sniffed?
your time,
How many have they sniffed?
I'm just saying, in that time, the Broncos have won 3.
that's good. Everybody
And
has
been
their
to
time.
4.
Everybody has their time, man, to shine.
I mean, the Broncos have been to more Super Bowls than the Cowboys in total.
We don't need to win championships to be worth as much as we are.
That is absolutely a fact.
Y'all are a bunch of
I
haters
still don't understand how they're worth as much as they are.
because we're smarter.
Like, how did
business.
Jerry manage to get this America's team bullshit with enough traction to make him
he
valuable?
didn't. The America's
did.
team from the 70s.
No. He's the one that capitalized on that.
No, the America's team thing came from the 70s.
You're not listening to me. He's the one that capitalized on it.
Well, he's capitalized on just being mediocre for years, and
He's the one that capitalized on America's team. Yes, that came before him, the saying, but it was not true until Jerry bought the team. They won those 3 championships, and he capitalized on the fact that they're America's team.
All I know
And
is
somehow it's stuck, even though they've been mediocre
I mean,
since.
my wife was a Cowboys fan before I met her, and then she had switched over to a Broncos fan. So
they're
I was
just
really pulling for Neil O'Donnell. Let's just say that.
they're just lucky that like the Texans are complete trash, or they might not even be Texas team. So
oh man, if the Texans were like really good,
yeah,
yeah,
people would jump ship in a heartbeat. I guarantee that. So
Trying to say something about Texans?
I'm just saying.
I
More
think
about
the biggest
Cowboys.
I think the biggest issue on the Cowboys is not all Cowboys fans, because there's some good Cowboys fans like Aaron, but there's those group of Cowboy fans that's like, Cowboys are going 13-4. I have no doubt about it.
Well, hang on.
I mean,
I got to pause this conversation. When did I say I love Adam Morrison? When did those words come out of my mouth?
I don't know.
Let's back up for just a second here. I got to make sure if he's keeping things on file, we need to have the file clear of what's going. I never said Adam Morrison was going to be good.
I don't even know who Adam Morrison is.
Nobody does.
Now, he was Naismith Player of the Year in college. So coming out, there was a reason why people thought he was going to be good. But I've never, in all of this conversation, said that he was going to be awesome. And I was not a fan of his. I do like Chet Holmgren. So if you want to put that on file, I'm okay with. But let's not put something on file and give me credit for that I had nothing to do with. Just backtracking for a moment.
I can't defend either party. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, now continue with the NFL.
Well, we were kind of bashing the Cowboys for a little bit, but which is easy to do. But they are the most valuable team in sports.
That's right. I'd rather be profitable
Maybe.
than popular.
Maybe. I think I personally think there's
Wait,
a
what do you
couple
mean
soccer
maybe?
teams over in Europe that have a little bit more
Oh my
value.
gosh, like seriously, that's what you're going to compare it to? Well, then don't compare the Broncos to any soccer teams. That really look bad.
Well, technically, right now the Broncos have the highest sports sale in history. It shouldn't be. I don't know why Chelsea's not showing the $5 million that they were sold for. Everybody keeps talking about a 3.7 number when they do these lists, which just isn't correct.
I'm
But
sure you can go back though and adjust for inflation, and I'm sure that would be the case. So
I don't think so. I think those are legit numbers right now.
keep
Now the thing
talking.
is we
I'll
may
get your
never
list.
know what the Cowboys are truly worth because it'll get passed down to Steven, and then if they continue on this trajectory, they're going to lose value. Now, not enough to be like, oh wow, they tanked, but they will lose that most expensive franchise tag. I do believe.
Carolina Panthers were that's ridiculous. They were purchased for $2.2 billion,
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and the Mets for $2.4 billion gross.
Bills went for less than that.
the Bills.
Bills got sold like a year before the Panthers.
Really?
Yeah.
The Tagliaglos,
Mhm.
or I can never say their name correctly.
Now, Dodgers 2012, $2.15 billion. I guarantee that's going to be up there when it comes to inflation. Anyways, continue though.
Oh yeah, the Dodgers. They've won a World Series since then too. So yeah. Plus they're
That was
LA.
the notoriously known as the Magic Johnson group.
Yep, that's right. So interesting. I mean, I think Jerry made a comment that if he sold the Cowboys, it would be for over $10 billion.
I think there's a couple soccer clubs that are as valuable, if not slightly more. But you're talking about a global entity compared to a United States entity for the most part. So that's the difference there. But Cowboys, for sure, there's no arguing that they're the most expensive, most valuable NFL franchise.
Yes. And I'll take that. That just means we're always going to have a fighting chance to disappoint.
Speaking of value and owners, I honestly believe, now we know I kind of like to go out on limbs with some of my NFL predictions, but I feel like I'm pretty good at these. I think we're going to see another 2 new owners in the NFL within the next year.
Well, we were pretty sure it was going to be at least one.
Daniel Snyder's going to get his ass handed to him, and now I think the McNairs are going to be forced to sell as well.
You think?
I do.
Wait, okay. What's going on with McNair's?
There was a lawsuit finally brought against them that they enabled Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah, with the Texan thing. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. You think with the NDAs, maybe something like that?
So I think it's going to be the NFL is going to look. They're going to let Roger Goodell take all the heat because that's why he gets paid like $40 million a year, and he's
Correct.
great at doing it, and that's why he has his job still. More power to Roger for it. But they're going to be forced to clean up their image.
I mean,
and
Schneider,
all the owners are going to be like, look, that's enough skeletons. You two are gone. Take your money and leave. We're going to bring in 2 new dudes, and we're going to set some new standards for ourselves to make sure this stays in house.
I don't know how much Houston would sell for, but Washington would go for quite a bit.
I'm thinking Washington would be about 4.5 to 5. I think Houston would be about 3.5 to 4.
Yeah, they haven't. Texans have an estimated franchise value of $3.7 billion right now.
There you go.
That's
so about 4.
Crazy.
But yeah, I think we're going to see. 2
Oh
new.
man, if Houston got rid of their ownership and got rid of their power structure, and they could actually be good again, can you imagine that?
Commanders are at $4.2 billion right now.
Yeah, so they'd sell for 4.5, 5.
That's nuts.
You watch your mouth, John. Get your ass in here in person before you start putting my name next to Adam Morrison, boy. I'll continue to come back to that all show. Burn me.
I
Right
enjoy
up.
it.
I know. It's great. It's well played, John. Well played. Yeah. So I believe the NFL. How long ago was I calling and telling you guys Deshaun's done for a year? Now, what are all the reports?
It's been a while. Yeah.
What are all the reports?
It was
Indefinite, at least a year.
Yeah.
I would say I was the first one on that smoke line.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this was since last season when all of it was
So
starting to come out.
his hearing started today. Very interesting. It's a third party judge.
Former U.S.
So
that's hearing this case.
Is it just okay? It's
former
not-
U.S. district judge.
Yeah, I think so.
Like they were
I'm not
higher
exactly
ranking.
sure what her rank was, but she's a third party.
Mhm.
She's able to hear the case and hand down a punishment, and Roger Goodell's allowed to override that and do whatever he wants.
No, that's not the way I understood it. Roger Goodell gets
So,
to hear.
That's
the
exactly
appeal.
what Mike Florio mentioned. Mike Florio is really good when it comes to like
He
the
is. I mean,
legalities
he's a former
and stuff.
attorney,
And he said literally the biggest issue is A, she can handle the
that's not what my understanding with the new collective bargaining agreement is. What she decides is the punishment.
It's just got to be a third party.
Roger Goodell can hear the appeal, but he cannot decide on what this punishment will be.
He has the ability to override.
That is
Because that was right from Mike Florio. And
we need to look this up because that's not how it was explained. I learned it.
I already have it. It says once she rules, Watson will have the option to appeal. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell could either rule on that appeal or call on an independent ruler. So it doesn't necessarily say that he gets to decide.
He
but
doesn't.
In other words, he gets to bypass and
That
find
was part of the
somebody
collective
to figure
bargaining.
it
The
out.
third party sets the punishment, and it is what it is. Now you can appeal it. The catch to that is Roger Goodell hears the appeal.
That's their form of arbitration is by bringing in the independent individual. So
Now I like Mike Florio a lot too, Pinky. So we might have to get a little bit more clarification on this because I think he's wrong here. Based on everything else I've seen and read, that's the first time I've heard it that way.
He's pretty good when it comes to that stuff.
I won't argue with that. He is.
He also said she's this is her first case that she's heard, and she's also got a sticky situation of she could go out of bounds and say, I don't care what the NFL says, this is what I'm going to do. Or she can try to stay within precedents. And
no, this is going to set a new precedent. And everybody's very clear with that. What I think is stupid is that Deshaun Watson and his team and the NFLPA, granted, they don't have a choice. They have to defend the player as a union. You don't have a choice. You have to do it, or you disband the union and it's over. But they're going to try to bring up, from what I've heard, they're going to bring up Daniel Snyder. They're going to bring up Roger Kraft, and they're going to bring up Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep.
Now, the kicker about all three of those is the NFL has always said that the owners are supposed to be held to a higher standard than the players, and the owners have not been. The problem with that is Roger Kraft's situation is nowhere near close
they just
to what
swept that under
Deshaun
the rug.
Watson. Yeah, but it's not even the same type of situation.
He was getting handies from sex workers
Right, but
that were not sex workers by choice.
That doesn't.
It was like human trafficking.
right, but it's
That was Kraft's situation.
yeah, but it was. You want to go into that detail, fine, but I'm talking more broad strokes. It was prostitution.
You should pick your words a little better, by the way.
It was prostitution versus arguably what you could call rape, which are two very different scenarios.
Well, forced prostitution is rape.
Again, broad strokes here. Like I'm not trying to dig into
Very
particulars
broad.
because
They were very broad.
because there was still no proof that it was forced labor.
Forced labor, dude. This wasn't a coal mine, my guy.
There's no evidence that it was human trafficking, as Pinky said it. That was never proven. And that's why you can't go down that road with Kraft. Because you're going to back yourself into a hole where they can just say it was dismissed because that wasn't ever proven true.
Well, he got fined and they took draft picks from him, so there was something there.
But the case was dropped because of those exact reasons. That's what I'm saying. Still got fined and everything, yes, because
The case was dropped. 'cause
he
they
went
swept it
against
under the rug.
he went against their conduct policy, which is what Deshaun Watson's going after. But in Kraft's situation, it's one person.
Kraft didn't have no NDAs. What's going
Yeah.
on?
In Deshaun Watson, it's 26. So that's the first issue.
Which I'm not hearing anything about the extra two.
The other two, I haven't either.
Everything's 20
So
to
technically it's
24.
24 right now. But there was two. It was at 26 somehow.
One dropped off when they said that they had to bring their names as claimants, right? Wasn't that the case?
I mean, the
I
two,
don't know.
There were two that were just recently filed
It's in the last
right
2
before
weeks.
he settled.
Yeah. And then Daniel Snyder bringing that up with the NFL, that's not going to work either because the NFL completely buried 90% of what was found on their investigation.
Except for the fact that he claimed he claimed actual ticket revenue from NFL games as non-ticket revenue.
Right, but
so
that
they
has
kept
nothing to
more
do
of
with a sexual misconduct.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter. Like you're ruining yourself there by bringing that up.
The only technical sexual misconduct that the Commanders have against them is that whole selling the cheerleaders thing.
Well, and once
That
he
could
gets
be some
subpoenaed
sexual
and if
misconduct.
Congress really wants to get in on this, they'll ruin him for life. How far Congress is willing to go with this will be another story. The only one they have any credence on is the Ben Roethlisberger situation. However, bro, how do you guys not understand? That was a different day and age. That was a different time. That was a different country. Ben Roethlisberger does that now. We never hear from him again. Period. End of story. He's out of the NFL. Guarantee you. Based on the allegations that were against him at that time, Ben Roethlisberger would never touch foot on a football field again. Back then, though, when it happened,
Well,
different times.
what did
totally
he,
cool.
What did he do, though? He paid the woman and settled the case out of court.
Right. But if that's today's day and age, that lady's not taking that settlement because she knows she can ruin him for so much more and end his career with the NFL. I have no doubt in my mind Ben Roethlisberger raped that woman in the bathroom. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against that. I probably agree with you on that.
I'm not chinking to that. That's just
I
terrible.
mean, we agree on something.
I agree that we agree, but I'm not chinking the fact that we're
that's
agreeing on
bad.
somebody being raped.
Okay, well, I agree with that. She did take the money, though.
I'm not. Look, rape victims. We've kind of gone down that road before. What you have to go through to even try to prove what happened is ridiculous. What Deshaun Watson is going through isn't quite on the Ben Roethlisberger level of rape, if you want to, as disgusting as it might be, categorize it. But there's so many more allegations and people willing to come forward about him continuously doing the same things that make him a habitual offender that I can't imagine it would not surprise me if they set a precedent as indefinite. and he's got to do a bunch of counseling and all sorts of other stuff to even try to come back. Now, the only reason I don't think they'll do that is because of what the capital the Browns gave up. The NFL doesn't want to ruin an owner like that. So that's why I've been saying for a long time it's going to be a
think
year.
they could, because the owner went out of his way to give a player a $230 million guaranteed contract, which had not been done before. Like, that puts every other quarterback contract after that as like, wait, he got guaranteed. I got to get guaranteed. He set a precedent by doing that. So forget that owner. Like, that's his fault. We don't care if we bury him. He made that mistake.
No, I don't see that happening because there's been talk for a couple years now, solid. NFL is going to guaranteed contracts. It's just going to happen.
Well, and
It's
again,
inevitable.
they started. I mean, Kirk Cousins got 3 years for $90 million. That was all guaranteed. So I mean, it started to happen. But for that, like, I don't know, 5-6 years, 230, like that was quite out of bounds.
Couple of things. One, John throws out there Rapelsburger, which sounds like the worst franchise restaurant out there.
That was always fun. That was always his nickname.
And the second thing is, and I hate to kind of play devil's advocate on this, but I actually think there's going to be some merit here. That, yeah, you could say that everything that Watson did was terrible, which it sounds like it was pretty bad. But he was also basically given the thumbs up from the Texans to do it. You know what I mean? And that shows by saying, hey, if you are, make sure you use protection. And by that, I mean this NDA. You know what I mean? So if a team has those kinds of standards, right, where they're like, yeah, we don't care what kind of illegal activity you do, just do it right. He got caught, right? What other players, who other else was doing what? Sure, he's the one who's going to be hit for it. But when you're basically, I mean, that's kind of no different than the affluenza argument, right? Where you're sitting there saying, oh, I didn't know better because I've never been disciplined. Well, that's kind of the same thing where they're like, yeah, we don't really care what you're doing. Just try to, CYA.
But let's be honest, in those situations, both parties should be punished.
Absolutely.
Not let off.
Right. No, but if you think about it realistically, if the Texans were aware of this, their obligation should have been to throw him under the bus so they don't get dragged through the mud down the road.
Which, again, one could argue that the Texans are even dumber than the Browns because they had an opportunity to trade him even sooner, and none of this probably would have come out about them.
Yeah, sure.
But because both parties have allowed this to linger on for 2 years now, the amount of dirt and everything that could have been swept under the rug is now not being allowed to. Again, going back to it, I think the McNairs are going to be forced to sell. Just like I think it's inevitable that Daniel Snyder will be forced to do the same.
I think the McNairs.
Look at the former Carolina Panthers owner. How
that
quietly was he forced to sell?
That was quick.
Happened real quick.
That was real quick.
And it was done quietly to the point where even some fans of Carolina were like, wait, what just happened?
Because he had
he was racist? Oh, wait, there was sexual misconduct?
There was sexual harassment claims against him, and it was like overnight, like he is selling. Like, it was super quick.
So I think the NFL is about to see a precedent set with Deshaun Watson based on their conduct policy, and they're going to come down hard. And I've told you before, I think Trevor Bauer's situation with Major League Baseball is going to have a lot to do with it. And then I think they're going to be forced to clean up their owners a little bit and say, you guys got to get better at this shit. As in, if you're going to do it, don't let everybody find out.
I'm not sure how Jimmy Haslam's still an owner. The owner of the Browns. He's had allegations from the FBI.
Yeah, but not sexual misconduct situations.
No,
Pinky.
but like all types of like tax evasion,
money launder and fraud all you want. We don't
and...
give a shit. Are you putting a product on the field that we're paying for? Cool.
Yeah.
Now, are you beating people? Are you sexually assaulting women? Are today's day and age, Pinky, since when has finances been an issue? It's not. It's race and it's gender. That's what modern America is focused on right now.
Yeah.
You can fuck with your money all you want.
Yep.
Nobody gives a shit how you're making it, legal or illegal. What they do care about, though, is human rights at this point. And the only two owners fucking up with the human rights situation, by all accounts right now, are Snyder and McNair.
And here's the other thing, too. If that attorney for all those women were smart, I would just hurry up and get Deshaun Watson out of the way and then go right on to sue the Texans. That's what I would do. Because if you already have 20-something settled, Texans aren't going to bat an eye. They're going to be
Problem
like,
is
"All right."
that would mean he's going to have to now convince the other 4 women that they need to settle instead of trying to still fight the charges.
Well, that's how I would approach it if I was that attorney. I'd
I'm-
be like,
I-
just take anything. We're going to go after them.
I
and they're
have
not
to
gonna do
believe
anything. They're gonna
that
pay.
and then you're going to get twice as much from the team.
Absolutely.
the 4 that haven't settled. I have to believe that Tony Busby is just playing with I'm going to get you more than this other settlement. But they're still going to settle. I think they're going to settle.
I think there's still. I'm honestly still amazed that based on everything that's been said from that side of the aisle, that the grand jury didn't indict him. At least one of those 2 situations.
It's just so because how many cases there are. I'm pretty.
You know
shocked
why
by that,
though?
but
Because they needed that burden of proof that
Yes.
they didn't want to have to be forced to look stupid with.
Yes.
That's the only reason they turned that down.
That is 110. Well, because it's word versus word. Those are the most difficult cases to try to. It doesn't matter how many people say it. It is still that situation
Now,
every single time.
once they find the tapes that Deshaun Watson was recording, and
That guy
still
was-
hasn't burned.
that guy was recording tapes. Is that what they're
No,
saying?
there's
Oh.
no proof of that. I'm just
like,
saying.
I'm like, you got. There's
I'm
no
speaking
way.
out my ass right now.
Okay.
But I would be amazed if he
It's
wasn't.
like turns out he was live streaming on Pornhub.
he's got. They're like, why is your ring facing inward? Oh, security purposes.
God. It took me a second. I'm like, you don't have no ring. And I'm like, oh, right.
Like that's what it feels like they're waiting for right now to me.
Yeah.
Like they know, like these ladies were like, oh yeah, he told us he was recording, but they can't prove it, so they haven't said it. And Deshaun's sitting there with a goddamn shoebox, going back and watching it, and then like reburies it in the field. And like once they find that, then all hell's gonna break loose. That's what it feels like.
That's just even more creepy, man.
I'm just saying that's what it feels like. I'm not saying there's been any word of that. That's just like how I feel about it right now.
You know what I'm honestly surprised? I'm really surprised that more women don't actually take proactive measures and like recording and like I get it, you know what I mean? Because obviously then it makes them look like the bad person. If
dash
that
cam for
happens.
women.
Yeah, but also like I don't know, doing something to protect themselves in these situations. You know what I mean? Like,
But like let's be honest. If you're now, this is probably a terrible way to go about this because
you know it is.
by all
when you
accounts,
lead in
90% of the
with it.
people he said had no masseuse licenses whatsoever.
Oh, well,
But if you're a masseuse and you're going to work on a famous athlete,
yeah,
you're thinking this can really help build your career. Because if you're really good with this athlete, you'll get other clientele from that.
He'll tell his other athletes.
So as a masseuse who does it, professionally, you're probably thinking this is a great opportunity for my career. You're not thinking, oh, he might sexually harass / violate / God knows what else to me.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like now everybody else that he was meeting off of like Tinder, he's basically asking you Netflix and chill. You should have known
Instagram
better.
was
Like,
his
it sucks to say that, but you
social
probably should
media
have known better.
platform of choice.
Famous athlete asking you to come over and give him a full body massage, and you are not a licensed massage therapist. That's like Netflix and chill. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that the New York Times though has come out and said there's over 60 that they have found, and there's only 24 cases right now. That's also why I feel like this is very far from over.
Could be.
But he's getting at least a year. And I still believe Baker Mayfield's starting for the Browns this year.
He is not starting for the
Dude,
Browns.
did you not see the most recent article?
The quotes from Baker today said, I am
Nope.
not playing for the Browns.
Nope, that was only half the quotes. Within that same interview, he said it would have to start with a serious conversation and an apology. And I told you from the beginning, the Browns will grovel to him.
I also said too,
And if Baker's
very
smart-
stupid, so I don't know why they would start doing things in an
If
intelligent
Baker's
manner
smart,
now.
he would more than happily accept that because it only increases his chances of going to a team that's worth going to.
I mean, there's only 2 teams right now that even have a quarterback opening. So he's limited in his options to begin with. Again, I don't think you're wrong.
And let's be honest, if you're one of those 2 teams, there's no reason to get Baker because you
Just-
roll with what you have, and if you fail, you get
Yeah.
a really nice quarterback out of next year's
Just
draft.
suck and you'll draft a good quarterback next year.
So they have no incentive to get Baker in my mind. Baker needs to show this year that he can still play, and then that completely changes him for free agency.
Yeah, the only thing I think changes is if he chooses not to, nobody picks him up. And as the season goes, if somebody loses a high caliber quarterback, then he's definitely somebody to pursue. You know what I mean? But until that situation arises, I don't think
But
it's good for anybody.
he's got to go out there and show he can still play. Like last year was just injury.
It was.
He does. We agree on that,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of GMs and
And-
talent evaluators that could say it wasn't just injury. Look at the footwork, or look at the lack of body movement in his throws. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, yeah, a lot of that was because
mean,
you can't rotate with the shoulder
it-
injury and things like that. But
I mean, if you look at his receiving core and break it down, his receiving core is not one of the best in the league as well.
I'm just saying it could be argued either way.
So
And right
no,
now,
I
the NFL is
think
saying,
Baker's good.
Baker, you're not good. That's what the NFL is saying right now. Otherwise, somebody would have traded for him already.
Well, the issue is
I don't want to hear about 18 mil.
it's the 18 mil, bro.
That's not an issue if he's good, Pinky. It's not.
Yeah. How many people are paying quarterbacks that aren't even on their team anymore? So I
Well,
don't think
the
18 mil-
Panthers are paying 2.
right.
18 mil for
Might
a
as well make
good
it 3.
quarterback, that's cheap as hell.
That
It is
is
cheap.
cheap. You're
So
right.
the issue is not the 18 mil. The issue is we honestly don't know if he's good, so we don't want to pay the 18 mil. If he goes out there and plays and balls out, then everything goes, give us the $18 million contract. That works for us.
But that's the risk. You also have that he's on the last year of that deal. So
That's what I'm saying. So if he goes and balls out, worst case scenario, he hits free agency, looks really good, and gets to sign with someone he wants to.
look, I agree. He should play for the Browns. I'm just saying I don't think he will. I don't. I think that
And I'll
bridge
say
is
it again.
gone.
The Browns roster is good enough to be a dark horse Super Bowl team. They're absolutely good enough to be a dark horse Super Bowl team. That offense is loaded. And that defense is fairly stacked as well. If Baker plays above average, like a lot of people think he could, that's a dark horse Super Bowl team.
Season before last, he balled out.
He did.
So,
That's why we all had them as a possible AFC champion last
Yep.
year.
Yeah. Till the injuries. Bummer.
What did they lose from that team, Pinky? Nothing. They gained.
And this pretty much their last chance too, because you got a lot of big contracts that are going to be coming out. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think that's actually if I'm Baker, I say this is probably my only chance at a run, because that next team you end up on, it might be looking like the Browns from 5 years
Also
ago.
true.
So,
Also true. So, maybe they don't both get what they want out of it, but I still believe he's under contract with them. You know what I mean? It's not like they have to convince him to come back.
yeah,
They do, because he cannot play, and they still got to pay him $18 million. So yes,
Yeah,
they
but
still do.
then
need
Baker isn't getting signed next
As-
offseason.
as he
you know what I mean?
mentioned-
Like he knows as well as anybody else.
his value drops.
The
a lot.
NFL is a what have you done for me now league, not lately, now. And if you sit out an entire season after the year you had before,
He'll sign a $1 million, $5 million, or 1 year, $5 million.
he's going to
deal.
lose a lot of money, and he will most likely, unless injury happens, never be a starter in the NFL again.
Maybe he might go down that Mariota path, huh? Good enough, but never will be.
Now, Mariota has a really good chance to show out this year and show that it was more the coaching staff using him incorrectly than it was anything else.
I think he's got
he
a
got
short
a second
leash,
opportunity. He does, absolutely. So does Trubisky. But he's got a second opportunity. Name another time when you saw two dudes like that get a second opportunity in the NFL. Because I can't think of another one.
though. Tannehill.
Yeah, I'd say
Tannehill didn't get a second opportunity.
Yeah, he did.
No, he was a free agent and jumped ship.
He was literally Miami had no interest in him at all, which doesn't happen for quarterbacks. Quarterbacks don't become free agents very often. That is rare.
I think Tannehill's situation is a little bit different, but I see what you're saying. That's close. I'll give you that. It's
When
close.
quarterbacks are drafted by a team, they don't normally become free agents.
I would have loved to say it for Darnold, but he's not proving. He's not proving.
He's not been a
much.
free agent. He got traded.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is his, but it's a similar situation. I mean,
Yeah.
this year is a make it or break it for Darnold.
for sure.
Definitely.
I mean, the Seahawks and the Panthers are the only two teams that have a quarterback opening as it stands today.
I personally would say only the Seahawks have a QB opening.
I honestly think Baker would do pretty good with Seattle.
Well, I mean, when you have those two receivers, I think there's a chance there for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Carolina's got a ton of weapons too. So either place he'd have weapons to throw to. DJ Moore is a sneaky top 10 wide receiver in the NFL.
I think he could be.
I think he is right now.
I don't know about that.
1,000-yard season, 8 touchdowns with no quarterback.
There also know that nobody else they could throw to you. They didn't have
Robbie Anderson's down there.
He's still produced though.
He's
Anderson,
number 2.
Anderson had some pretty weak games.
I'm not a Robbie Anderson fan, so I'm not going to try to defend
DJ
him.
Moore is pretty good.
DJ Moore's
He's pretty
sneaky
good.
top 10, and depending on how Darnold plays, I think he could be sneaky top 5 this year.
Well, I think what set him back was Christian McCaffrey getting hurt. I think that messed.
That hurt him a
of things
lot,
up.
for sure.
Yeah,
When you predicate your entire offense based on one guy's abilities.
you have to change your game plans, and also when you're a defense, you're like, don't worry about the run game.
Well, and then Darnold got hurt for a couple weeks, threw off his whole rhythm.
Yeah.
Coming in through COVID, you didn't get really all the offseason preparation that you would normally get with your guys. But you and I both said it.
Yeah.
Darnold started off last year pretty good.
I think
His first 4 games were pretty solid.
I still actually think Darnold could be a Josh Allen. That it just
I agree
Not
with
on
you.
that level. Not on that level.
I don't see why not, to be honest.
Starting quarterback, sure.
Pinky, you didn't think Josh Allen was going to be anything when he first came into the league. I remember you
I
were
like
not
Josh
a fan.
Allen is from Wyoming.
No, you did not.
I just said his first 2 years, he missed a lot of open throws.
I remember
Lot
you
of open
specifically
throws.
saying he won't be with the Bills any longer after his first 2 years. Yeah. Like you called him trash pretty much.
Well, if you look at his first 2 years, he wasn't great.
Yeah, but you got to look beyond the numbers. The growth was exponential with that guy. You cannot judge Darnold based on his first 3 years in the league. You
Yes.
just can't.
Especially if you look at the size
The Jets
of
were
his head.
trash.
Yeah.
And they did him no favors to try and show anything worth being a quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
So anybody judging him based on those first 3 years is foolish. You want to judge him based off of last year? I will give that to you because there were some weapons around him that he didn't take full advantage of. Now, there were a lot of injuries on that team last year also, so you could almost give him another pass. But you only get so many of those. So like Aaron was saying, this is his make it or break it year this year. Regardless of if guys stay healthy or not, if he plays all 17 games, he better do something to show he can elevate the team. Because if he doesn't, then he will be done as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I think he's done anyway, so I think the coaches are going to get fired and the Teddy Bridgewater money will be gone.
If he shows out this year, you keep him. You don't get rid of a starting quarterback in the NFL. So if he plays the way Aaron and I think he is capable of, he's a Carolina Panther. And then that way they get to go use their draft picks next year to fill in other holes because you already have your quarterback.
And plus, the other reason why he's going to do so good is because I thought he was going to do good last year, and I'm always a year off. So
That's a good point. You are.
Yeah,
I-
always a year off.
I just don't know. I just don't know.
I'm looking forward to it.
Could he
I
do
think
it?
He deserves it.
Could he do it? Sure. I just don't. I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold.
We got less than 30. I think it's 28
30 days till training camp. Yeah. Or
28
less.
Now.
Yeah.
It's less than 30 now.
The very end of July.
The
is
two teams,
training camp.
the kicker is the two teams to report for training camp first are the ones that are playing in the Hall of Fame game, which is always a week before the other preseason games.
Yeah.
And so they're a little bit ahead of everybody. But we're close.
Sweet.
They said they'll have an answer for Deshaun Watson guaranteed before training camp starts. Like you said, his trial started today, so there's going to be some big decisions there. I told you before, once that gets settled and the Browns know for sure they're going to be without him for a year, they are not going to throw this year away. They're not. And that's what you'd be doing if you start Jacoby Brissett. That's when you'll start hearing movement about, well, the Browns and Baker met today. All reports are they were amicable conversations. That's how it's going to start.
I mean,
And then the next thing you know, he's going to be running out of that camp, that tunnel for training camp.
if the Browns came out, well, the one thing is, he's a dead man walking as well, though. That's the other thing. Because he knows he's not there next year. So there's also that to play with. But if they can get him to swallow his pride and play, sure. It's the best bet for him.
I don't think it has anything to do with Baker swallowing his pride. I think the Browns have to get on their knees a little bit and say, yep, we did you dirty.
And no matter what you
We
do,
messed up real bad.
you
But
won't be the quarterback next year.
funny enough, this actually could work out best for both of us. This could be a win-win. So our bad. Sorry.
Then I think Baker might like the fan base more than he hates the ownership.
That's a great point. I think he loves playing in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think so too. So it's
Think about the legend you would be. Think about, like, to me, that's what it's all about. Playing for that legacy, right? Think about the legacy he would have if he goes out and gets the Browns to just the AFC Championship game this year. He didn't even have to win a Super Bowl. Let's just say he gets the AFC Championship game with the Browns this year. He goes down as a Browns all-time great. The legend of Baker Mayfield. He's forever Cleveland lore. Deshaun Watson then has to try to live up to that.
You know what I would hate so much about that scenario more than absolutely anything is the fact that people could be as dumb as rocks and not suffer for it. Nothing would pisses me off more than that. Than to see the Browns be so stupid and then them still
no. You don't have to worry about that.
That would just...
The Browns are screwed for the next 6 years.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Especially if Deshaun Watson sits for another year. Because we all know how I felt about Deshaun Watson before all this hit.
Yeah.
I even got Pinky to jump on the bandwagon a little bit with us.
That's what you get. Every time you're high on somebody, kill their career.
It's ruined. Sorry, guys. Get used to it. But he's going to sit out now for 2 full NFL seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's really, like, you really think he's going to come back to the same dude? I don't. He might get back to 90% of what he was.
There's only been one other guy that's come back like that.
What, like Vic?
Michael Vick's the only guy. But I would say Michael Vick got a better coach that was able to get the most out of him at that point.
And he changed his game a little bit.
Well, he prepared.
Deshaun Watson, film. Yeah, Deshaun Watson isn't going to be able to change his game. Like, he is what he is.
You want to know what my thought process is? I think Deshaun Watson was just going to spend this whole next year getting into more trouble. And when he's ready to come back, they're going to be like, hold up. You know what I mean? He's going to have a slew of new things on there. Because trust me,
for him to touch another masseuse would be just on another level idiotic.
He's probably thinking,
let's take that a step further.
The radar now.
For another masseuse to touch him would be an even more boneheaded decision.
No way. They getting paid. What are you talking about?
I mean, maybe if he's like handcuffed to the table and cannot
that
move.
That would probably look even worse. Yeah.
Maybe you need like a police escort there to handcuff him down, and then he can get his massage. Like, maybe that's part of therapy.
I think homeboy should be buying just a massage lazy boy or something because dude needs to call it quits.
He gets one of those roller bars. Like, that's all he's allowed to use.
Right. You can find, women on Instagram to do the things he wants to do.
Right. But now he's a mark. You know what I mean?
Apparently you can't, Pinky, because he didn't.
Well, yeah, when your profile probably says, NFL quarterback, you know what I mean? He needs to put on their unemployed, have a Groupon, you know what I mean? And ain't nobody going to be shaking him down.
head from them 10s down to them 1s, buddy.
Right.
I'm still not sure why he didn't just go with some role play. Like, hey, I want you to be a masseuse, pretend to be a masseuse and massage me, and then this is what I want you to do.
Then he's not in any trouble. Done differently,
but again, not in any trouble.
I'm at the point now where I look innocent until proven guilty. I will always stand by that. It's part of the beauties of our legal system.
There's a pattern.
Now, it doesn't actually work that way all the time, but I'm a big proponent of that, of our system. The problem with Deshaun, the pattern is a big issue. The other issue here is that, how do I want to say this? He was knowingly asking for massages and then on record stated he didn't care if they had a license to be a real masseuse. Like, that in and of itself is shady enough.
Which goes against a lot of the top elite athletes who spend millions of dollars on their body.
Mm-hmm. No, that goes against anybody who's really asking. Like, I've never met anybody who says, I'm going to go get a massage. I don't care if they have a license. They went to a massage parlor or a spa or something where it's an actual masseuse. Like, their title is masseuse. Deshaun Watson was basically like, I'm just going to let you rub your hands on me. I don't care if you're good at it. The other thing that really affects me, and I do my best to not let it sway me into just flat out guilty, is the fact that along with the repeat offender situation like you just brought up, it very much feels, sounds, and looks like he looked at these as a challenge to convince them to do something that they weren't planning on doing in the first place.
I don't think anybody wants to admit this, but there's a kind of shocking resemblance between him and Jeffrey Epstein. If you actually really look at what the cases were,
Or
and how
Harvey Weinstein.
well, actually, no,
A
specific,
grooming nature.
well, but specifically what Epstein did, because he would bring, but obviously the difference was
And by that, I mean, there's no way possible you can do that. But we'll keep an eye on this. Like you said, it started today for Deshaun Watson in his hearing, trial, whatever you want to call it.
I just want resolution.
It's coming.
I feel bad for Browns fans, and again, my son's a Browns fan.
I
so
don't.
I feel bad. Well, you didn't make the choice to get Deshaun Watson.
Oh, my bad.
Most-
I had ownership in my head.
Yeah, most Browns
I feel bad for the Browns fans.
would have stayed with Baker.
Arguably the most loyal fan base in all of sports. Yes, I do feel bad for the fans. But only some of them. Because a good majority of that fan base was stoked when Deshaun Watson got on that team. So that's why, grain of salt, but I don't feel real bad. Little bad, but not real bad. Because if you listen to Cleveland Sports Talk Radio when that happened, majority of the people on there were like, I don't care what he does off the field. I want him to win for us. That's a problem.
okay. Also, and then plus Kamara's next anyways. So he's going to
6 games.
Yeah. He's going to get popped.
He's going to get more than 6. Again, they're setting new precedents.
No, he punched a guy. He's maybe going to get 6 games.
No, he kicked a dude while he was down.
Yeah, but he wasn't the only one.
Right.
His
He
whole posse
participated.
was-
He participated in a gang beating.
His whole posse was lighting that dude
They
up.
were curd stomping the dude.
Yeah, it's a common practice.
He's getting more than 6.
common practice. Yeah.
I think the NFL is ready to set some new
Dude,
precedents.
if this happened in Chicago, it wouldn't even be on the news.
Kareem Hunt got 8. What Kamara is accused of doing was a lot worse than what Kareem Hunt did.
Yeah, but Kareem hit a woman instead of a
That's
guy.
my-
No, he
Boy.
toe tapped a woman.
I don't
Based
even
on the video, I'm not trying to be like
I
sarcastic. or
watched the
anything.
video. I don't think Kareem Hunt did anything wrong.
Based on the video, Kareem Hunt toe tapped her, like basically tried to get her to move with his foot. He didn't kick her. Based on I'm serious. And by all reports, she was asked to leave multiple times. She was harassing the people at the party. Well, I'm not saying she had it coming by any means. You don't treat people that way. But what he did compared to what Kamara is being accused of, there's no way he's only getting 6.
Well, I mean, in her defense, she wouldn't do some sexual things that he was asking her to do to one of his friends. She wouldn't do it. She got asked to leave. She threw a fit, and then tempers flared, and then that's what happened. But they made it sound like he straight out beat the crap out of her, and he didn't. It's on video. He kind of trying to move her out of the way.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's a woman versus Kamara stomping a dude. I think he's getting six games.
Have you guys seen the video
Of what?
with Kamara?
nobody's
no.
seen it.
Nobody's
That's
seen
my
that.
point. I'm waiting until it comes out to know what his level of involvement
I'm
was.
telling you right now, it's not going to look good. Because by all the reports, he was involved in curb stomping this dude.
I want to see the video.
I don't think there's.
Does
a
it
video.
matter how many times he kicked him for you to say he gets more than 8 games?
Mm-hmm.
So if you see him physically just winding up and kicking the dude more than once, what are you saying?
It depends where he kicks him, actually.
What?
It does. Dude, it's law.
There's levels to this.
I
There's
know
levels.
it's law, but this isn't law. The NFL doesn't suspend based on the law.
It's law to me. That's how I look at it. I look at it from a legal
I
perspective.
think he's getting 6 games.
If he kicks the dude in the head when he's down, that is felony assault. And he should get at least 6 games and probably actually end up in jail, to be honest.
He
Or
should end up
obviously-
in jail for that.
Yeah, or he's going to have a civil suit. But here's the thing. If that guy actually instigated the entire situation and then those
He
people weren't-
instigated it by saying, I'm not getting off this elevator. That's how he instigated it. By all reports, Kamara and his friends said, you can't ride on this elevator with us. He told him to F off. I'm getting on this elevator. And they curb stomped the shit out of him for it. That is not instigating anything of that nature.
it doesn't sound very smart though either.
He didn't throw the first punch.
Well, we don't know that.
By all accounts, that's already the report.
Who's okay?
That's why they arrested Kamara.
I understand that, but I'm telling you, I want to see the video. I want to see everything that happened.
Basically,
Alright?
here's what I think. It's going to be Ray Rice style. And if they had punished him before the video came out, it would be 6 games. Then the video would came out and they would go, oh, you can't be on our team anymore. That's what I think this video is going to show. It's going to be that bad.
It might be. I
The
don't
dude
know.
ended up in the ICU from this beating. It's not like he just got beat and like kind of brushed it off, called the cops. He went to the ICU with head injuries,
I'm sure they're all
hemorrhaging.
they're all pretty big dudes. So yeah. I hear that. I'm just saying.
I'm not a Kamara fan anymore after hearing this. I'm not.
Well, I think that's weak. I always think it's weak. You hit somebody when they're down, period. Any situation, I don't care. That's weak. It's
Yep.
weak. So
All for a guy not wanting to get off an elevator because you think you have like control over
Which
something.
in Vegas, those elevators are kind of slow sometimes because there's 30, 40 floors. There's no reason why I can't get on an elevator and go to my room.
Basically, it makes me instantly think he thinks he's better than everybody else. And that thought alone will make me not a fan of you
you know
anymore.
what's so weird though? That is obviously a clear differentiation of like perspective. Me, if I'm alone and I see all these big dudes, I'm like, I'm not getting on that elevator. You know what I mean? Like that's my mentality.
Well, and especially if they tell you you can't get on the
right.
elevator.
I'd be like, appreciate that. You know what I mean? Let me know.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
I can't get on?
That-
Okay, cool, man. We're
Right.
good.
See, and that's why I'm saying is like that's why it's weird to me, right? If I see some big dudes there and they're like, nah, and I'm like, yeah, actually, yeah, You know what I mean? Like, who does that?
I've been told I have a big mouth, so I might have gotten myself in a similar
all right.
situation.
Yeah. Just reminder. Okay. Throw it in the back of your head.
Right.
If that comes up, take the stairs.
Right? If you guys are there with me, just make sure you go, don't listen to him and just grab me away.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance I could be like, hell no, man, I'm getting on this elevator. There's plenty of room.
We'll take the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw me on the floor before I get curb stomped, all right?
Listen, ain't nobody backing you up, homie.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to write DNR on your arm and I'm leaving.
Well, it's very nice of you to write DNR. That's nice of you.
Man, I knew I brought this pen to sign something.
That's it. I'm out. I'd be like, I didn't see nothing.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, next week we'll have some more wonderful conversation and debate. As always.
Might have to throw some questions out there to Twitter, Facebook. Find some topics people want to hear about.
There's a good chance next week we're going to be discussing some fantasy. I want to get a kind of a jump start, a little bit initial thought consideration kind of thing. I was telling you guys before, I got a dynasty league that I'm in that guys go back and forth all the time with each other of who's got the better team and made better moves and deals and such. I think it'd be fun to have you two look at it with objective eyes and just kind of run through it as our initial fantasy thoughts. It won't be our final end all be all because we'll get to that after training camp like we always do, or the last week of training camp. But I think it'd be fun to just kind of start it off as getting people's minds starting to think about fantasy coming up and things of that nature and who we like, who we don't like, with training camp being only about a week and a half away after that.
Should be interesting.
Okay. So I think we'll spend, half hour, 45 minutes on that. Give us some football, start rolling back into that because basketball's done. Hockey's done. We're not really going to, we're not talking about baseball until at least after All-Star break.
This is officially dead zone.
So I think that'll give us something to roll with next week. So plan on that.
Guys.
Plan on that for all you people that actually pay attention. Listen, we'll talk a little fantasy. Cody, you're not going to be on that one. We're going to bring you in when it's actually true fantasy finalization conversations. Plus, you're also in that league, so we don't need more than one subjective personality having that conversation. But other than that, appreciate hanging out with you guys. Always enjoy it. To everyone out there, as always, spend that time with your loved ones. Hold them. Let them know how much you care. We're out.